Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. The theme of this episode is spooky. Ooh. Hopefully these are spookier or as spooky as I think they are. A lot of you guys have been commenting that I need to do another spooky episode because it's now October when this comes out. And of course I decorated for Halloween, not here. I need to, but in my living room. And it's really cute. Highly recommend Dollar Tree for decorating. Honestly, I got so much stuff there. Okay, the title of this story is This a Haunting? My home, body, and luck are falling apart. And they put this picture in. I'm not really sure what this picture is, but it looks like hair, and I don't know what's up with the hair. This is my attempt at summarizing. Hi, everyone. I've been hesitant to post this, but I feel like I'm at a point where I can't ignore what's happening anymore. Physically and practically, my life has been unraveling, and something bigger than me feels like it's taking over my life. This all started about 3 years ago. Around the time my dog Kobe was diagnosed with kidney failure. He was always such a strong, independent dog. Walks with me were the only time he was truly attached. But during that period, he became unusually dependent and needy. Almost like he knew something bad was coming. Shortly before this past Christmas, my mom called me crying, saying that Kobe probably wouldn't make it to Christmas. When I came home for the holiday, he wasn't the Kobe that I knew. He was weaker, more clingy, and strangely dependent on me. That Christmas break felt heavier because we came closer in this strange, intense way. The first week of January, I got really sick, vomiting in unusual shapes, and that's when a freak accident at work happened. Someone came late to my yoga class and dropped a glass water bottle. I tried to clean it up myself, injured my hand, fainted, and was fired for not following proper protocol, even though there was no first aid kit. Fighting it through HR didn't work, and that incident marked the start of a chain of chaos in my life. Around the same time, my paranormal experiences began escalating. 3 years ago, I was having sleep paralysis where a creepy hand was beside me, holding me down. At the beginning of this year, I woke up all morning with my hands inflamed, and my boyfriend had even said that they looked like old lady hands. Then I started seeing dark shadows in Kobe's room while he was still alive. He screamed in pain at night, and marks would appear where he had been. I now see these same marks everywhere. My body and skin feel stretched. My scalp is a mess. Added a picture of that. My hair suddenly went red. I'm normally brunette, doing blonde. And sensations of being physically squished or pulled. My boyfriend recently slept over and felt something pressing on his chest. My apartment has become unmanageable to handle. Garbage trails follow me, hair clippings, and even my foot clippings vanish. Appliances echo after I turn them off. Chairs move when no one's there. Stains and garbage trails follow me everywhere. My apartment, my parents' house, even my car. No matter how much I clean, sweep, or vacuum, nothing makes a difference. Pest control, environmental checks, and professional cleaning haven't solved anything. I spent $7,000 to fix my car. BMW told me that I wasn't going crazy and that my oil engine had a leak because there was some chewing or tampering with the wire there. And then it looked like someone had dumped over a gallon of coffee in the center console, so right underneath my armpit would rest. Looking back when this whole thing started, bad stuff was happening. But I just kept thinking okay, that's not in alignment with me, I guess. And I just kept trying to stay positive. And even with the lucid dreaming, I was like, I don't want to give whatever this is power. For example, 2 years ago, my best friends since high school randomly ghosted me shortly after I ended my engagement. I hadn't fully opened up about it, but even now, looking back, I realized they should have supported me, especially after a 10-year friendship. Around that same period, I was fired from my full-time marketing job. I pivoted to teaching yoga and Pilates, and things were going really well. But it seems like whatever is following me isn't happy with me making the best of my life. Since then, I've had freak accidents, lost opportunities, and even tried spiritual cleansing, church visits, and professional help, including a scam black magic clearing that cost me money. Nothing works. It's reached a point where I can't even do the things I love anymore. I can't stretch in yoga or Pilates without feeling wrong in my body. I'm all frazzled. things fall out of my hands or I drop things and I can't form proper sentences sometimes if someone asks me a question. Things randomly appear, stains show up, and I feel like I'm being physically pulled down, like gravity itself is against me. I feel trapped in my own body and my own space. I haven't even been able to properly grieve Kobe because I'm fighting something that I don't understand, and it's isolating. My fingers randomly turn black, and I feel like my beauty and energy are being stripped away. Sometimes I feel like my place is mirroring my grandmother's I was named after. I wake up and catch myself standing or moving like her, and it's unsettling. One morning, my hands looked like old lady hands. She had stains everywhere in her home, mostly water stains, but as a kid, I always thought that they looked like eyes, and I remember being weirded out by certain objects in her house. Now, I have similar marks, and it creeps me out. The day after she died, there was a bird watching me and Kobe. Once, while vacuuming my apartment in frustration, I looked out at the porch. I live near an airport on the top floor, and there was that same bird staring at me from the side. I've heard that we sometimes, quote, pay for the sins of our grandparents or ancestors, and sometimes I feel like that might be what's happening to me. My grandparents worked incredibly hard for money, and they would have done anything for it. And now, being basically broke, it makes me question if some of this is tied to them. A friend once told me that spirits can latch on and make you think they're familiar when they're not. Thinking about it this way has made me feel conflicted about my grandparents, even though I know it's not fair. And yet, the experience feels eerily similar or connected to them. I've asked for clarity on what this is, but it doesn't reveal itself. It stays hidden enough to cause stress on day-to-day living while making me look messy, disoriented, stupid, and repulsive. Has anyone experienced anything like this? Even advice on how to reclaim your space, body, and energy when something invisible seems to be actively harming you would be helpful. I'm desperate. If you made it this far, thank you so much for reading. I know this is long and a lot to take in. I just can't think straight these days, and I'm doing my best to get it all out. I really appreciate anyone who takes time to listen and share advice.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
It sounds like you need to call Ed and Lorraine Warren. Except not the Ed and Lorraine Warren from real life, the one from The Conjuring. Because sorry, but the one from real life, that's not my Ed Warren. Or my Lorraine Warren, honestly. Because why did it's actually so sad. Because I saw the most recent Conjuring in the movie theaters, like the 4D movie theaters where the seat moves and stuff. And they are so cute, obviously. Like, love them to death in those movies. They're everything. But then when I listened to, 3 podcasts about them, about the real Lorraine and Ed Warren, Ed was, a literal pedo. And he was cheating on Lorraine with, a freaking 13 or 14 or something year old assistant. And I'm pretty sure Lorraine knew about it and, just let it happen and all this other stuff that was, really pissing me off. Because, come on. Really? Why can't I just have, why can't it just be regular? And, oh, look at that. Why can't it... They really made so many movies off these people, and that's who they are in real life. Damn, I was romanticizing the hell out of them. It's really fucked up. Okay, the top comment says, crazy thought. Could your boyfriend poison first your dog to test it and then start poisoning you? How's your relationship going? That's kind of crazy to think about. And then someone responded to that and said, so many people are suggesting that it's your current boyfriend, but that seems unlikely since he could just leave, unless he's a psychopath. Why would he slowly try to poison you? The motivation doesn't make sense. I think it's someone in your former yoga class who has been targeting you out of jealous rage. Did the bad luck begin as he began showing interest in you during or after class? And you do seem to have a negative spiritual phenomenon going on, which you could return with a mirror spell. As for the leaking engine problem in your BMW, German cars have extremely high maintenance costs and frequently underbody problems. That's tea, because I'm pretty sure aren't Volkswagen Bugs German? Because, yeah. Because my freaking Bug had so many damn problems like that. Okay. So, wait, I want to see if she ever updated. She did leave this long comment that I'm going to read, but I want to see. No updates. But this comment looks like an update, honestly. I feel like it's so many like spiritual things are happening when he's not around, though. Or maybe he's a warlock and he's casting spells on you or sending bad black magic energy to you. Okay, let's read her comment. She said, yeah, one situation stands out specifically when we first started seeing each other. I didn't want anyone to know because people at the gym love to gossip. So for a few months, it was really quiet, just some of our close friends knew. He still took my classes, and on Friday, a girl came up to me after her class. I had quoted something from The Body Keeps Score, and she asked me about the book. I had never seen her before, and she said something like, oh, I see you reading by the pool a lot with your Kindle. I said, yeah, I love that thing. I recommend anyone who likes to read to get one. And then she said in the sassiest voice, I would never use Kindle because I like to support the authors. Weird. I mean, maybe someone can help me debunk that now. You're still supporting the authors when you buy off Kindle, right? Sorry, off topic. Anyway, I was cleaning up after class. She had just left, and my boyfriend was waiting till everyone left to come back in, and he kissed me. But the doors were open a little bit, and I noticed her looking in. I laughed awkwardly and brushed it off. Also, when she saw me see her, she didn't look away. And then he walked out and was putting his shoes on in the hallway, and I overheard her saying to him, you should come with me to so-and-so's class. And he brushed it off, but I could still hear her talking. Later, I asked him if he knew her, and he's like, I think I've seen her in passing a few times, but I've never spoken to her, so it was really strange when I realized, okay, it was after she saw his kiss that she suddenly wants a random guy to go to a yoga class with her. Anyway, I took a class one day, and I was changing in the storage closet outside of the yoga studio. One of my best friends was standing outside waiting for me, and I heard a Kindle girl's voice, and she was talking loudly, and as the conversation progressed, I could hear her more clearly. Kindle Girl mentioned my name and said, I don't really like her classes because they're not accessible to people and not everyone's flexible. My best friend knows that I always make sure it's accessible and I always offer modifications. It's one of the most important things about my classes. Said, really? Because I'm pretty sure she's one of the only teachers I know that actually gives you modifications. And then the girl said, oh no, and I also injured myself after. Also, it's not fair because she's overly flexible and focuses her class on that. Again, not true. Yoga is not about flexibility. It's about feeling good in your body. I always made my peak poses something about strength or balance. I was fuming, to be honest. I was debating going out and being like, bitch, do you have something to say to my face? Or to act aloof. When I walked out, the girl didn't seem totally shocked to have seen me. She was like, oh, I'm going to try your class again this week. And then I was going to call her out, but I decided sometimes it's better to just take the high road. So I just said, oh, that's great. I'm excited. Then she just starts telling me about her life. It was really weird, and I've always been the type of person that I can't be fake, and people that can talk shit behind your back and then be so nice towards you have always freaked me out. Anyway, afterwards, my friend called me and said, I'm proud of you that you didn't just rage on her because she definitely knew you were in the storage closet and she definitely was inching her way closer there to make you hear her. I don't think she thought I would defend you. I saw the look on her face when I did. I think she wanted to make sure you feel powerless. A few days later, a lovely lady told me, you really need to start wearing crystals and stuff to protect yourself. You need to be more careful because I think people are just waiting for your downfall. I don't think that girl specifically hexed me, but that was just an example of the frustrating shit I used to encounter. I think that that's why this whole thing feels like a hex because my whole life I never really fit into where I grew up. To be honest, it's filled with flashy, entitled, judgmental, jealous people. And as I say this, having experienced firsthand being judged for not having the latest season of Chanel, I was really excited for this new chapter on my own. And instead, I have to rely on my parents just to get by. Constantly fighting with them because I've spent so much money trying to fix myself, and yet I've never looked worse. I didn't speak to my dad a week after he said that, and instead I have to rely on my parents just to get by. Constantly fighting with them because I've spent so much money trying to fix myself, and yet, quote, I've never looked worse, unquote. I didn't speak to my dad for a week after he said that, and when he apologized, he said, I'm sorry, I just think you looked better 2 years ago. Followed by my mom telling me I need to get it together because I'm going to lose a great guy, and her disappointment in me when I say, If I lose him, then he's not a great guy, because right now I need support, not judgment. And on top of this, having to deal with the weirdest, freakiest, uncomfy shit that I would not wish on the person who probably hexed me or any single person. If you're still reading this, thank you. I hope I didn't overshare. I just hope that this can give a little bit more backstory on why I think it was a hex. It's just maddening if it is, because I've always been open and honest with people about my own struggles. I tried to mind my business, be there for people when they needed me. And now I'm in the current state I'm in. And yeah. I'm so scared of Kindle Girl. Kindle Girl is really freaking me out. For real. And Kindle Girl can actually fuck off. I mean, I really hope that you figure it out, girl, and you really need to go get some crystals. Like for real. Or even just look up a protection spell. Like I did a protection spell. When was it? Like a month ago, maybe? And it's funny because before I knew anything about I don't know, witchy stuff, I guess, or any detailed stuff about that, I always thought the spells were like what you see in a movie, but sometimes they're just the simplest of things. I don't even remember what I did for mine, but it was just basically looking up or something and saying some positive affirmations about being protected and something in a circle or something like that, and then boom, I guess I'm protected. So probably definitely do a protection spell. I feel like I kind of am protected after that. I honestly I forgot that I did that until now. I'm just now realizing, I did a protection spell on myself. That was the day I bought crystals and sage, and I cleansed my house. I wasn't feeling any negative energy. I just I don't know, I've been into that kind of stuff lately, and I feel like it's really cool to learn about. Okay. Anyways, the title of the next story is, we are going to do a trigger warning on this. Self-harm, possible self-harm, and death. So my son, 15, accidentally shot himself. We think/hope. December 2024. He suffered brain trauma that we were told was not survivable. My ex-wife, his mom, was hoping for a miracle, so she had kept him clinically alive with drugs and a ventilator. We alternated nights staying with him for a week. My first night staying alone with him in the ICU, I had the following experience. I had called my current wife, and we decided to let our daughter, 8, his half-sister, say she loved him to him. My wife did the same, and I let her go for the night. I tried to settle in for the night, but I got an overwhelming urge to talk to my son. I poured my heart out and felt at peace, finally able to sleep. The next day, I felt he was gone. I called my wife and told her about it. We live in the deep south in the woods, old territory with Civil War history and already paranormally charged. She said that around the same time I had that exchange, she heard what she called, quote, Native American drums and chants from outside. To my knowledge, the property wasn't native, but we are relatively close to old native territory, about an hour drive. My son was finally taken off the vent and declared deceased December 7th, 2024 at 6:30. Ever since, we've had small things happen that we think may be him. Full disclosure, we think there was something in my parents' house that had something to do with it. We subsequently cleanse the house and routinely sage, purging negative and inviting loved ones in. Since then, things we still have of his have moved. I've heard him. Sometimes we hear footsteps on the stairs in the same pattern he had stomping up the stairs and oversized boots that he loved. He loved animals, and our cat routinely stares over our shoulders when she's with us, staring at a blank wall. Is that cat possibly crazy? Aren't they all? Could the noise on the stairs be settling or wood expanding and contracting? I know that sound. And I admit it could explain some of the noise, but not the sound of the loose boot stomping on the stairs. We like to think that he's still with us in some way. We haven't had any of the darker energy since, so maybe he is and is protecting us from what messed with him. I'm currently in therapy to deal with the loss. It took a huge toll. I have bad days, but it's going to be like that. Not much to do but carry on. Thanks for reading, and I'll answer what I can if you have questions. That's so sad, and it's really sad that they'll never know if he actually accidentally did that to himself. I can't even imagine going through something like that. Someone commented, take care of yourself. You're in a state of trauma right now, and that's going to be affecting you for many, many years. You don't want him to be worrying for you. You want him to be able to move on. He's trying to tell you he's okay. He'll leave after he knows you are too. Obi said, I had my wife and coworkers all push me to go to therapy. It's been a huge help. And then that person said, that's awesome. Please remember to eat and stay hydrated. I know that sounds generic, but my mom kept forgetting after my brother was killed. And Opie said, I had issues with it while he was in the hospital and for a little bit after the funeral. I'm doing a lot better now. Thanks. And then someone also commented, sorry for your loss. First of all, that must have been hard. I'm from a place where supernatural beings are facts. You did not invite loved ones in. You invited bad ones. Good ones don't interact with humans to begin with. However, the bad ones are the ones that do so. A person that dies doesn't return. What returns is another entity pretending to be him. The chanting you heard are possibly them mourning his passing. Happened here too, but that's about it. Do not do any spiritual rituals to communicate with the dead or inviting them in. You do not want them close. I don't want to go into details, but please try your best to avoid them. OP said, yeah, we have a strict rule not to contact. There are too many horror movies showing why that's a bad idea. But didn't they say they did like some energy thing where they were trying to like draw in loved ones? So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that could be true. I wonder where she is from also. I was also listening to this person talk about their experience in Peru, which I need to learn a little bit more about because I don't like 100% know everything. But apparently she went to Peru and there's a group, please correct me if I'm wrong. There's a group of people called the Inca people, and they are native South American civilization that ruled a vast empire centered in what is now Peru from the early 1400s to the mid 1500s. And apparently there's like this girl, okay, that was struck by lightning or something, and then she became like a healer. I'm sure a lot of you know and are a lot more educated about this subject, but of course I can't find it now. I can't find information about it now. But it was really cool to listen to. It was really cool. I love that kind of stuff, and I feel like it's so interesting. And I didn't even know. Like, I'm so uncultured, and I love learning about other cultures because there's so much out there, which is really why I need to travel. And I just think it's really cool. Anyways, let's move on to the next story. I'm even going to put a trigger warning for this story. Unaliving. Very sad as well. The title is Bought My First House and Found Out It Was Haunted. I bought my first house in 2003 and was over the moon. Shortly after moving in, 2 of my neighbors began joking with me about the ghost in my house. Well, I thought they were joking, so I just played along pretending I had seen one, and it was no big deal. Well, as time went on that summer, I met more and more of my neighbors, and they all brought up the same topic. Finally, an elderly woman on the block who was quite kind and friendly told me a story after I'd asked her. I knew she wasn't going to screw with my head, which is why I asked in the first place. Turned out the previous owner purchased the home and never lived there because she said it was haunted. Sounds in the night of footsteps and sobbing, and glimpses of a man sitting in the kitchen covered in blood. One of my neighbors helped with the renovations of the house and said he was putting up drywall when he felt something lift up his dreadlocks. Though I've had paranormal experiences before, it had been years, and by then I just chalked it up to the night terrors. One day, I went to a small neighborhood video store to rent a movie. I had to fill out a form with my demographic data, and then my credit card info. The owner of the store looked at the form and said, "Oh my God, you live in that house?" I asked her what she meant, and she explained that her former employee had committed suicide in my house. She came to the house as soon as she'd heard, but the house had been taped off by police as a potential crime scene. She told me that he had just moved into the house with his partner and called his mom because he wanted to invite her over to meet his partner and came out to her. This was in the early 90s when being gay was a big deal. His mother already knew he was gay because he bought a house with a man and disowned him right over the phone. That same week, he received a letter from an HIV testing center stating he had tested positive for HIV. This is when HIV was a death sentence. He then sat at the kitchen table, ate a bowl of cereal, and shot himself in the head with a revolver. Since then, she's had multiple paranormal experiences in the store, with videos flying off the shelves and even levitating off shelves. The most I have experienced is sounds at night. Sounds of Cheerios being poured into a bowl. I don't eat cereal. And sounds of sobbing in the kitchen. I often awaken to both. I remember my grandmother saying, "When the dead come to you, they want something. Perform an act of charity in their name and pray for them." So I did. I sat down at the kitchen table one night and lit a candle and told him that each night I would recite a novena prayer for him before a lit candle. On the 9th night of the first novena to St. Anthony, patron saint of lost souls, I heard uncontrollable sobbing. I felt a strong presence of grief and despair and the sound of hyperventilating breathing, as though someone could not catch their breath. I sat in the presence of this knowing it was not malignant, but rather a connection of intimacy and compassion of which he was in need. For 45 days, I said a novena prayer before a lit candle for his soul, and had a mass said in his name. A few times I had awakened to feel his presence standing over my bed, but knew it was not a malignant presence. This still happens from time to time, but less and less frequently. Okay, that's freaking sad as hell. That's terrible. I hated that so much. The top comment says, "Oh my, so sad. I feel this poor soul. I feel for this poor lost soul and OP's lost hours of sleep. He was really wanting acceptance from his mama. That's what's heartbreaking. Maybe starting a foundation in support of LGBTQ with HIV or a donation in his honor. That would be so sweet and nice. I'm saddened because I'm a mother and I couldn't imagine turning any of my babies away. Only because of who they love or who they are. I love them with an open heart. It's unconditional. I hope OP can find a way to help this lost soul find peace. You're an amazing person, OP." OP said, "That's a good idea. Too bad he didn't have a mother like you. Poor thing was only 23 years old." I second this. Maybe this act of charity would help the ghost move on. OP said, "Charity is an act of love and caring. Every message of communication should carry with it, at the very least, an implicit conveyance of unconditional positive regard and unconditional love. Saint Therese of Lisieux? I don't know. Why am I about to cry? Actually, because that is not that long ago for people to be like going through stuff like that because of their sexual orientation. And I can't actually. I'm going to cry. Maybe if you can't start one, since I think there's a lot of work that goes into that, you could donate to one." And then OP said, "No, an act of charity is as simple as buying a sandwich for a homeless person or just devoting prayer to them. It's very simple." Well, I hope that spirit found peace. That's all I really have to say about that story, because that is literally one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever heard. That's the end. That's the last story. That was kind of depressing. A lot of that was a lot of depression. I'm so sorry, guys. But what are you going to do? Happy spooky season. I hope you guys have the best October ever. I'm not looking forward to the end of spooky season. Like, I'm going to be actually really depressed and sad. Even though, like, usually I'm excited to decorate for Christmas and stuff. But, like, no, I'm just, like, really in spooky season mode. And I don't think it's ever going to go away. So, I love you guys, though. Let me know what you thought about those stories, please, in the comments. Love you guys so much. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye.
Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.